Thanks for staying with us. The City of Cape Town is urging members of the public to alert authorities should they notice any flare-ups of flames in their area. It comes as officials battle several infernos in the metro over the past week. Cape Town Fire and Rescue spokesperson Jermaine Carelse joins us now for more. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, you've been battling fires since last week, really being overstretched. Talk to us about what you've had to deal with.
Good evening to you and the viewers. Yes, it's been a tumultuous period for us since last week, Tuesday, up until today. We've had to deal with big major fires, the one in Simonstown, then the Glen Express one, then we had West Coast, as well as Dassenburg and Silverstream. And earlier this morning, at around 1, we had one on the slopes of Hout Bay, mountain slopes. So our service, the City of Cape Town Fire and Rescue Service, were a bit stretched to the limit. And but luckily we pulled through. We have the necessary knowledge and the know-how and the resources to obviously deal with any such emergency.
Know-how and resources and the knowledge, I mean, that must have taken an entire team. Talk to us about some of the processes you've had to go through to get to the bottom of this, because I understand that the wildfires have been exacerbated by very strong winds.
Yes, obviously the South African Weather Service sent out a warning with the fire danger index above 75, and that only means that with the hotter temperatures, the dry conditions and the strong winds, and those are conducive for runaway fires. Hence the call to the public, obviously, to alert us if they see anything that might develop into a fire or if there is smoke, because the sooner we are notified, the emergency center, the sooner we can dispatch resources to that incident, where a normal incident would perhaps take 30 to 40 minutes. And if someone calls after a prolonged period, obviously, then that could turn into a day or a week time that the guys will be working at an incident.
Do we know exactly what the source of these flames are? I mean, we see them year in and year out. Has that been established?
Yeah, well, I don't want to speculate, but I've heard times where people tell us about people just chucking out the cigarette butts while they're driving, especially in these types of conditions. And I know there's an investigation that has been launched by Sandparks with regards to the Simonstown, the Castle Rock fire earlier last week, Tuesday.
And off-duty firefighters have also been roped in to assist with this. How have you been managing these teams?
Yes, I think that the call was made, the first code red call was made or was activated on Thursday evening. I think I was one of the members myself that had to go through to Goodwood. From there, we mobilized certain resources and from there dispatched to the various incidents. And another code red was declared by the Chief Fire Officer of the City of Cape Town on Christmas Day, actually. And that was just after lunchtime. But we must be thankful and obviously grateful for the assistance from our neighboring municipalities. That would be Swartland Municipality, West Coast, we had Overstrand, Stellenbosch, as well as Cape Winans that came and assisted us. They sent resources and obviously manpower to just add to the resources that we had, and they could have been deployed from certain areas.
Jermaine, how important has it been to ensure that the teams that you're working with are well taken care of in terms of morale, in terms of their health, and really being fit and knowledgeable on how to deal and tackle these flames?
Yeah, no, it's a testing profession. To be there out in the field for about 24 hours. Of late, the guys have been working more than 30 hours, obviously, for relief crews that had to come and relieve them at the various points that they were. But the community has obviously came to the fore with refreshments as well as corporates. So they were given enough sustenance and obviously hydration with water during these prolonged periods that they were out in the field. And at times, they will work a certain set period and then will be relieved by crews if we have other crews available to obviously assist them, and then can go back to the station and perhaps have a hot meal. I think that is one of the biggest things that I think people forget, that these brave men and women are also just human and it's taxing on the body. And at times you do feel that you can't give, but then you've got that officer there that just sets an example and the crew will follow.
Absolutely. You've also sent out a word of caution to residents not to assume that if they find something that may resemble a fire, that perhaps another neighbor has called for assistance. Why is that imperative to really not have assumptions?
Yeah, I think that is one of the biggest problems with people assuming someone else will call, and at the end of the day, no one calls. So we would rather have 30 or 20 or 30 people calling for the same incident than no one. I think because we think that, okay, no, the neighbor is going to call for this incident, or you drive past and you see there's a fire along the roadway, and you think that, okay, no, someone else has phoned. But the city has made available, obviously, we've got the Public Emergency Communications Center with a speed dial number on 021 480 7700, where you can call in and obviously report these type of incidents.
And just touching back on some of the team members, I understand that there have been some injuries as they tackle the wildfires.
Yeah, we've in the first fire incident that was occurred last week Tuesday, and in the early hours of Wednesday morning, we had 2 injuries from firefighters, but they were taken to hospital and discharged the same day. Then we had the fire in Seawinds in St. Patrick's Avenue. That was an informal settlement, and 2 of our members were taken to hospital for burn wounds. I think they are still in hospital currently.
Glencairn has been very problematic for you over the past few days. Another flare-up yesterday. How are you now coping? And perhaps what are you preempting as you remain on standby to tackle the wildfires?
Yes, obviously the weather warning has now extended up until Thursday, with these strong winds persisting all the way through until Thursday. It was initially until Wednesday tomorrow, but now I see that the new warning has been set out, and with the fire danger index also above 75 up until Thursday. But for that Glencairn Express, so that would be like the underlying the routes that still maybe the ground is hot and then it gets reignited as a result of the wind blowing over. But we currently have, and we're thankful for this, that we've got partners like ENCC, Environmental Services, Volunteer Wildfire Services, Sandparks, working on fire with those crews, obviously freeing up our resources, and they're dealing with those small flare-ups.
Before we let you go, Jermaine, perhaps as you send out a word of caution and perhaps warning residents, community members, drivers, what not to do, which may make your job even harder as you try and bring it under control?
I think people must be vigilant and obviously alert, especially when they're working around open fires. I know it's the festive season and everyone in Cape Town or everywhere actually loves a braai, but they must just be careful when they make these fires, open fires, and when they leave the braai area, they should ensure that that fire is obviously put out. And obviously when you're working with flammable substances, just be alert and obviously have that emergency number readily be available, because we find at times that every time when there's a big emergency, you forget so many things. But if you have that number, maybe on your speed dial as number 1 or number 2, that all that you have to remember is just you have to press number 1 or number 2. It goes through to one of the emergency communicators and help will be on the other side.
What challenges have you had with some of the residents who have been forced by the situation to evacuate?
Well, there hasn't been any challenges with the residents. There was the precautionary evacuations that was in the areas of Simonstown and well as Stonehaven. That was, I think, last week earlier. I think that was in the early hours of Thursday morning, and the one was on Wednesday morning. But I think they were also helpful, and obviously they do know and are respectful for the jobs that we do. And these evacuations are activated with disaster risk management.
Very well. Thank you so much for that update. Jermaine Carelse, spokesperson for the City of Cape Town Fire and Emergency, bringing us up to speed there with the latest developments around the Cape Town fires, with firefighters stretched too thin as code red issued amid several raging fires.